Media Radio Network, moving Wisconsin forward one joke at a time. This is As Goes Wisconsin with Kristen Bry.
So it goes. Oh, it's going, no one knows. Hello, Wisconsin!
Now, filling in for the new mom, here's Jane Matinaire.
Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to As Goes Wisconsin, October 27th. Greg Bach is on the board. Carol Kane, my friend and colleague, live with me in studio in downtown Waukesha. We got all kinds of things coming up today. We're going to have a busy show.
It is kind of a mixed bag, so it's going to be fun, though, you know?
Absolutely. We're going to have an update with Andy Gus from Grassroots Menominee Falls.
I'm really looking forward to this because I want to know what happened during that meeting.
There was a meeting of the Menominee Falls School District on Monday where parents spoke for and against the removal of certain books from schools. There were 33 titles that were removed. So Andy's going to join us coming up at 10:33 to give us an update with what happened at Monday night's meeting. We're going to have a little quiz right before the top of the hour this hour.
Okay.
I came up with a list of 2023 politically inspired Halloween costumes, and I'm going to describe the costumes to you and Greg, and of course to you listening at home, and then you have to guess who it is.
Okay.
It's going to be easy.
Oh, sure. That's what you said the last time, the last quiz, and I failed miserably.
Well, we'll see how you do.
Okay.
But I won wonderfully.
Yes, I know.
You did win wonderfully.
There's that salt in that wound. Thanks.
Then in hour number 2, we're going to talk about some of the most haunted places in Wisconsin, some of the most haunted places around the world.
Right.
As we head into Halloween weekend, I know at least in our neighborhood, they have trick or treat tonight. In Waukesha, it's actually going to be on Halloween next Tuesday.
Well, isn't that a nice idea? Mine's on.
You don't know.
I don't really know.
You better.
I'm
gonna
have to check it out, but I'll put money at Sunday. Usually, it's Sunday afternoon from like 4 until 7.
What do you do when they ring the doorbell? Because you have a sign on your door that says "Don't ring the doorbell."
Well, to tell you the truth, I leave the door open so the screen is there, so I can hear them coming up, and they'll, and then I hear the trick or treat, but still, Beauregard's not good with that. He's just not good at it, and
he's doing his job.
Well, he can cool his jets for just one afternoon, but he's such a good dog. He just sounds vicious.
Scary. Yeah.
So
and he's a bigger boy. So,
right.
Sure.
So.
All right. That's all coming up. Right now, though, we're going to start off with this, and I saw this right away this morning in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel in an article from Alec Johnson. The headline reads, "Rumors say Waukesha North High School is closing. The Waukesha School District denies it."
Okay.
So apparently these rumors have been going around since the beginning of the summer, even before June, when the school board's Finance and Facilities Committee met to talk about the district's middle and high school enrollment. Waukesha School District Communications Specialist Mary Jo King says, "We don't know who or why these rumors started. North is not closing, and there haven't been any additional conversations around it."
Wasn't it kind of like presented after they decided to consolidate a couple of
the middle schools?
Right.
They closed Whittier Elementary and merged it with Hadfield Elementary.
Right.
That was in March of 2022. And then in September of 2022, the district sold off a couple of buildings to Carroll University.
Okay.
And there is an issue with enrollment because enrollments across the country is down for schools.
But we're not having the family sizes that we used to have.
It's too expensive.
Right. No, trust me.
Yeah.
I only had 2 children. My mom and dad, I'm one of 4. So, and I know a lot of people that have opted just for 1.
Yeah.
So it's just a natural progression that the enrollment is going to go down.
Yeah, for sure. Again, according to this article in today's JS Online, the district's, this is again, Waukesha School District's total high school enrollment overall is down from a little over 3,600 in 2017 to 18 to 3,300 for 2022-2023.
Okay.
And that is projected, the enrollment projected to continue going down through 2030. Two of the district's 3 high schools, Waukesha North and Waukesha South, also showed declines. Waukesha North down from 1,172 students, 2017 to 18, down to 1,015 students.
Okay.
Waukesha South down from 937 to 890. Waukesha West a little bit higher. They actually went from 1,175 in 2017 to 18 to 1,195 in 2022-23. And at least in this article, it notes that maybe one of the reasons why West is attracting more families is because there's been more building going on that side of the city.
Okay.
Yeah, that area of Waukesha, that's actually around the area I grew up in. And
Did you go to North?
No, I went to Catholic Memorial.
Okay.
I would have went to North, but then once West was built, I would have been districted into West. But where I grew up along Sunset here in Waukesha, it used to be a soccer field and a big warehouse, and now it is literally like 100 stores, like a Target, Buffalo Wild Wings.
Wow.
It's a little off-putting when you drive past it because it doesn't look like what you were used to when you were growing up, but that area has blown up over the past 15 years.
So that would explain the enrollment.
Oh, yeah.
Like the enrollment numbers. Again, this article in today's Journal Sentinel, the high schools are not at the level where Whittier and Hatfield elementary schools were when they decided to combine those two.
Okay.
The 2 schools were only running at 42% of capacity. We have a gap of 944 kids at the high school level in terms of capacity, but it just sounds like they're trying to reassure folks that North, at least right now, there are not plans to close North High School here in Waukesha. Don't panic.
Let's not panic quite yet, you know. But I understand that, you know, if like in my neck of the woods of the high school, because my kids went to Homestead.
Right.
And if that's the only game in town, actually. So if all of a sudden the rumor mill had started, I'd be like, holy
now what
crap,
are we gonna do?
Where am I gonna send the kids?
Right. And you're gonna panic. And yeah, so don't panic. Again, at least as of today, they are saying they are not closing.
Do they give any breakdown as to the ages? Like, is it one particular, are they seeing attrition in one particular age group, like the freshmen or the sophomores, or it doesn't say?
It's not broken down
to
that level, but it's just overall enrollments just everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't just a Waukesha problem. It's a statewide problem. It's a nationwide problem.
Yeah.
Because fewer people are having lots of kids. Like you said, I'm the last of 6.
Right.
And I just don't think that there are that many families anymore that have that many children.
I know one person that has 5. And he's probably, I think he's Liz's age, right around 34.
Really?
Yeah, he's got 5, which I thought was very interesting, but it was a blended family.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's a blended family. So I don't know, outside of that situation, nobody from me had any more than 2.
Yeah.
Really. Nobody had more than 2. And like, I mean, even when you cross over into college, you know, what I spent for my kids for college education was just obscene.
Then think about what it is now.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I remember going to, and it's no slight because Alex went to MSOE, so he picked a private college, but he had a job when he got out. But when we went to another college that's downtown, and this kid was walking out in the front and couldn't give us the orientation, and I was sitting next to this dad who had his daughter, and this kid stands up in front of all of us and he goes, we'd like you to plan for 45. And I turned to this guy and I go, 1,000?
Oh, Carol.
A year? And he kind of looked at me and I go, usually I get a cocktail before that happens to me.
When I went to CMH, I know for a fact it was like $1,000 to go there a year. This is back in the 90s, $1,000. They actually had a deal. I think if you had 4 kids, your 5th kid was free.
That's hilarious.
But
that is.
Now CMH's tuition is more than most UW state schools.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Double on some of them.
I don't doubt it.
844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY if you want to check in with us. Our friend Greg from Waukesha is on the line. Good morning, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, Jane. Hey, Carol. So one of 2 in my family that went to Waukesha North. I graduated in 96, so that's showing my age a little bit. But if there's one school and I don't want to, I've always said don't contribute to the rumor mill. I was signed up to go to West. Now, I was signed up to go to West because I'm totally blind. But then West, North is actually my home school.
Okay.
But the reason they wanted me to go to West because they thought it was going to be more disability accessible. But West had been under construction for the first few years that I had went to high school. So I had went to North. And I'm glad that I went to North. I just want to say, there are some other factors at play here too, though, like the sports conferences. I think some of the Waukesha teams are merging. Like Waukesha South didn't even have enough players
to field a team. Yeah.
To field a team this year. So like something has to be done. And if there's one high school to go, I'm sad to say as a North alum, North is kind of, they've done a lot of renovations, but that might be the one that, ends up going. But we'll
have to wait and see what happens, Greg, because again, right now, the school administrators say everything's fine. Don't panic. North isn't closing. Again, that's according to an article in today's Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Thank you so much for calling, Greg, and always thank you so much for listening. And Dave from the Shaw is on the line. Dave, we only got about a minute and a half. What do you want to say?
Hey, I just wanted to say I had a meeting with the superintendent of Waukesha Schools about a year ago, and this rumor has been going on for well more than just the summer, even before last year. And he had told me that that all options were on the table. And as far as closings, so I don't necessarily believe what's reported in the news. I think if they want to close a school, it'll be North. But I think this is more indicative of the sign of the times of public schools closing.
Thank you so much, Dave. We really appreciate it. We're coming up against the break. I hope you can stay with us. You're listening to As Goes Wisconsin. We are on the Civic Media Radio Network.
WAUK.
Discover the secret to a healthier you at Lake County Botanics. Vape Walkie specializes in top quality hemp products from CBD to Delta 8, all curated just for you. You'll find Delta 8, Delta 10, THCA, and more legal hemp compounds in disposable vapes, cartridges, edibles, and more. Isolates, broad spectrum, or full spectrum CBD, they've got it all. They even have products for your furry friend. Open Monday to Saturday, 11 to 7, and Sundays from 11 to 5. Mention this ad to get a free gummy at 215 Oakton Avenue, Suite C in Pewaukee, LakeCountyBotanics.com.
It's Rivalry Week as Carroll University football travels to Kenosha to play the Firebirds of Carthage for the Old Musket Trophy this Saturday, October 28th. The Pioneers earned the Musket the last 2 years, with a win could bring it home to Waukesha for the third year in a row. Catch all of the action live with Don and Johnny. Pregame at 12:30, kickoff at 1. Carroll at Carthage for one of the oldest rivalries this Saturday on the Shaw, WAUK 540 AM, 101.1 FM, and the Civic Media app.
The Shaw, WAUK.
Welcome to As Goes Wisconsin. Jane Matnair in for Kristen Bry. We have Greg Bach on the board. Carol Kane with me in studio in downtown Waukesha, and you at 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY if you ever want to call and or text in. Big game tomorrow.
Yes.
For our Badgers. It's a night game too, and it's going to be on.
Ooh.
It's going to be on NBC.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a big
fancy.
deal.
I know. Under the big lights, hosting number 3, Ohio State. Ohio State has won 5 league titles since 2014. We will see what happens. And it's also, I guess what jumped out at me was it's also Halloween weekend in Madison.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Oh, chaos.
It's going to be crazy.
Pure chaos.
Did you ever do State Street for Halloween?
Yes, I did.
I had a feeling you did.
I was going to say I'm self-incriminating myself, but yeah, that was, I mean, we were so irresponsible, but this was like 1976, 1977.
Oh, wow.
That's when
So you were were you a freshman in college?
Yes, I was a freshman and a sophomore in college.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was really young when I started. I was 17 when I started there.
All right.
And the one year, I don't know what I was thinking. You know, everybody's in the sexy witch or the sexy this or whatever. And I took a balloon and I made this huge paper mache head. And I had, I know.
Continue. I'm
already loving this.
I'm trying to get the visual in my head.
I took wire and I made big mouse ears.
Okay.
So I painted my face like a mouse, and then I took a sheet and made like this big, and then this tail, and I had white gloves, and
wow.
So yeah, I was going all in.
Creative.
I'm impressed.
Well, I looked ridiculous.
That's
and the thing is the whole thing was, I remember trying to get into like a bar, and they were crammed, and I'm like, I'm banging this head into everybody. And it's just like, this is so silly. So silly. But yeah, that's the one I really remember. But State Street on Halloween, you did it, right?
Yeah, we did. And I was in my 20s, so I have no excuse. I can't blame it on youth. Yeah, we went from Milwaukee to Madison.
It's a destination for sure.
It is a destination. And we did spend the night somewhere.
Someone's yard.
Some car somewhere,
Oh
I think. But I just remember because he dressed, my good friend Leno dressed up as the Pope, and I dressed up as a devil.
Oh,
and
okay.
So that was our
typecasting.
Yeah, it seems on brand.
Typecasting.
But I love that you avoided the whole because I hate the whole sexy everything.
Yeah.
Sexy witch, sexy kitten, sexy mouse, sexy
whatever.
My friend in Chicago called me once. She goes, I found the winner of all of those things. And I said, what did you see? She goes, I saw a woman dressed as a sexy potato.
How do you sex up a spud?
I don't know, but that's funny.
That starch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, baby.
Maybe like a sexy Mrs. Potato Head, I could see.
Nope, just like a big potato.
Okay. In all its potato-ness.
Yes.
Well, I wish them well. The Buckeyes have always been tough.
This is going to be tough.
And I think, aren't the Buckeyes their favorite, aren't they? I think they might be.
Yeah, I believe they are.
And the Badgers, they've got to play like they did last week if they want to make any headway whatsoever. That's just a hands down fact.
Is it about winning, or is it about not just getting crushed? Like if they walk away, if the score is like 27-24, is Wisconsin gonna be like, well, it could have been worse?
Can always be worse.
It can always be worse. But I think the mindset is when you bleed red and white. I think that's Ohio State too. They're red and white, so it's going to be red and white everywhere. But the thing is, when you bleed red and white for Madison, you want to win.
Yeah, of course.
That's it. It's not about, if we were crushed or whatever. You want to win.
No matter how you get there.
Versus UW Milwaukee, we don't so much bleed black and yellow. It's like a paper cut, and we're like, oh, we had a basketball team. I had no idea. No idea.
Oh,
I mean, it's UW Madison has no problem telling us Panthers that we are not the Badgers at any chance they get.
That's true.
Well, there is
some disdain, I feel.
Well, it's almost like we don't care about it. Like you're like, oh, we're the Badgers. Like, that's great. My schooling is just as cool as you.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. But one thing that I would say the Badgers come in second to, I'd have to go with the Whitewater Warhawks, because they've brought home so many championships, and that's in all sports.
Oh, wow.
That's in all sports. Now, it's a different division,
yes,
for sure. But the fact of the matter is that brought it, and they've won it, and they can hold that over the Badgers' head and go, hey,
hello.
How
Sorry, I can't hear you from all of this trophy.
Yeah,
Trophies are so loud.
Exactly, all these trophies. But so I would say that they come in second to somebody like the Warhawks. But it's gonna be nuts.
It is gonna be nuts.
Wait till you see the costumes at the game.
Oh, I bet.
People will come dressed up to go to the game, and then they'll hit the bars down after they're done.
That sounds like madness.
It really does sound like madness. So prepare yourselves. And I guess the one thing too, because it's going to be cooling off considerably as the day goes on today. So tomorrow night it's going to be chilly. So make sure you're wearing a nice, warm something over your sexy kitten outfit, because otherwise you're going to freeze.
Will never happen.
That's always such a buzzkill, isn't it?
I know.
Especially when you were a kid. You're all dressed up and you're so excited, and your mom's wrapping you up in your winter coat and a scarf. It's like, well, what's the point?
No one can tell I'm a princess now.
No, exactly.
I know. Well,
exactly.
Speaking of Halloween costumes, coming up at 10 minutes before 11 o'clock, I have a 2023 politically inspired Halloween costume quiz.
I can't wait for this.
And you can play along at home. I will describe the costume, and then you have to tell me who it is.
Okay.
It's going to be pretty.
Okay.
It's a sexy potato congressperson.
Yeah.
Who do we know from Idaho? Yeah.
Oh, I wish I knew an Idahoan.
And coming up shortly, Andy Gus is going to be joining us from Grassroots Menominee Falls. There was a big school board meeting on Monday night with parents both pro and con on the removal of 33 books from the school. So Andy's going to give us an update on what happens with that. I hope you can stick around for that. Next hour at 10:33 on Milwaukee.com's Matt Miller will be joining us. It's a Halloween-y kind of season, so we're going to talk about scary movies, old and new.
I love it.
And which ones stand the test of time. And I know you like scary movies.
I'm checking out on this one.
Scary movies.
All right. Well, that's all coming up. Stay with us. We will be right back after the break. This is As Goes Wisconsin. We are on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Engaged and entertained. This is The Shaw. 540 AM and 101.1 FM. WAUK.
For Civic Media News, I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. People in Wisconsin can expect heating bills to go down by as much as 21%. That's according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. A spike in gas prices made last winter the most expensive ever for home heating. Even with the price drop, the Journal Sentinel reports this winter is still shaping up to be the third most expensive on record. Actual heating bills will depend on the weather and other factors. The Wisconsin Task Force on Childhood Obesity turns its attention to diet and exercise today. Doctors with the Wisconsin Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and SSM Health are testifying today in Milwaukee. So are officials from the YMCA. The task force is looking for new tools, laws, or grants that can help with the public health challenges caused by obesity. I'm Terry Bell. Now, here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WAUK News, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. Police in Oconomowoc are assuring the public that there is no need for panic as they proceed with active shooter training at Meadowview Elementary today. As part of that training, you may see officers with tactical gear alongside firefighters and paramedics. The training session follows an incident in Germantown where police shot and killed a man during an active shooter situation. Oconomowoc police are trying to ensure that people are not alarmed by the presence of law enforcement. Milwaukee police are treating the death of a 5-year-old boy as a homicide after his body was found in a dumpster on the city's northwest side. The young boy, Prince McCree, had gone missing Wednesday morning. 2 people, a 27-year-old man and a 15-year-old boy, have been arrested in connection with the case. The cause of the boy's death remains unknown. The medical examiner is still investigating. And that's what you need to know. I'm Stuart J. Waddles, WAUK News.
Don't let biased algorithms or degree screens or exclusive professional networks or stereotypes. Don't let anything keep you from discovering the half of the workforce who are stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time to tear the paper ceiling and see the stars beyond it. Find out how you can make stars part of your talent strategy at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Packers host the Vikings. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Green Bay Packers face the Minnesota Vikings Sunday at noon at Lambeau Field. Now, although the Viking star receiver Justin Jefferson is on injured reserve, quarterback Kirk Cousins has found a new favorite target. Rookie first-round pick Jordan Addison. Matt LaFleur.
Well, he's a guy that just studying him coming out of college that everybody was pretty excited about. I think he's a dynamic threat down the field. Obviously developed a pretty good rapport with Kirk.
College football. Wisconsin hosts undefeated Ohio State tomorrow night. Kickoff at 6:30. Badgers quarterback Braden Locke says they need to play like they did last week against Illinois.
And I think in the fourth quarter, we did a great job of that. You know, Braylon ran hard all night. Will made a great catch. Skylar Bell made a great catch.
NBA, the Bucks won their season opener 118-117 against the 76ers. Giannis had 23, but says that Damian Lillard's 39 points made the difference.
We have a guy that allows us and takes us to a different level.
With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
RPG came through the belly of the aircraft. We don't talk about the female combat wounded. These are our daughters and our sisters and our mothers.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. Cloudy this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Highs level off around 66. West winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Lows around 33 tonight. Tomorrow, highs around 45. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 63 degrees.
RPG came through the belly of the aircraft. We don't talk about the female combat wounded. These are our daughters and our sisters and our mothers. Wounded Warrior Project came into my life and taught me how to stand back up and get back in the fight. The truth is, I think we all have this strength inside of us, but until you're tested, you just don't know it's there.
See how Wounded Warrior Project empowers women veterans like Beth by visiting woundedwarriorproject.org/empowerwomenvets.
Your home of the Earl Ingram Show. Weekday mornings from 8 till 10 on The Shaw. 540 AM and 101.1 FM WAUK.
Good morning. Welcome to As Goes Wisconsin, 1034. Jane Matnair in for Kristen Bry. Greg Bach is on the board. Carol Kane with me in studio in downtown Waukesha. Just a reminder, if you are missing Kristen, and we're all missing Kristen, she is with us every Wednesday at 10:33.
Okay.
And so we do a little check-in with her and a little check-in with the baby, little Frankie Lou, who just turned a month old yesterday.
She probably really appreciates that because I've been a mom and I still am. It's not like I'm dead. But you know, when you are home alone with an infant, you need some interaction with an adult.
Someone who
Let's put
can
it that
speak
way.
to you, right? Someone who can respond.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
So make sure you join us on Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 10:30 until Kristen comes back from maternity leave. We talked about this last week, and I'm so glad to have our guest back. Andy Gus is with Grassroots Menomonee Falls. Good morning, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me back again.
Absolutely. We had you on when it was first announced, the 33 books that had been pulled from some classrooms, or at least banned from certain ages of students.
Right.
33 different titles. But on Monday night, there was a school board meeting, Andy, and I assume you were there. And we had parents speaking both for and against this removal of these books. How did you think the evening went?
I thought the evening, it was a packed house at Village Hall. There was over 40 speakers, public speakers that spoke during open comment. There was a lot more. There was about 30 in favor of, as in keeping the books on the shelves, compared to 10 that were supporting the book ban. And so I think it was a good opportunity for the community, the school board, to hear what the community, what people thought and what their opinions were on the potential book bans and what it meant for students moving forward.
Was there at least an air of civility when with the speakers, or did things get a little heated? Or tell me, read the room.
It was interesting to start. It was definitely a mixture of people in that room, but everyone remained civil. The only time that it really was really exciting is when the school board president, we typically have open comment and the period length is 3 minutes. So everybody prepared for a 3-minute speech during open comment, and they motioned it to move it from 3 minutes to 2 minutes with no announcement. They just did it right in the middle of the meeting. So everybody was,
scrambling.
I cut out some material that I had planned just to make sure that I could cover within 2 minutes. So that definitely brought up some uproar, and the school board president did threaten to cancel the public comment, which would have that's the only reason we all were there, because it wasn't on the docket for discussion that evening.
Oh, that would have gone over really well.
Yeah, that would have been awful. But I kind of understand, because you know how it's human nature, Andy. You go up there and you're expecting to do 3, and all of a sudden you got the Jamoke before you goes on for 7. It's just, you have to kind of rein it in a little bit.
But I don't think it's fair that they dropped this on them in the middle of this and said, oh, by the way, for the rest of you, now you have to go down to 2 minutes.
No, you have to keep it standard. If you said 3 to begin with, you got to keep it at 3.
You got to keep it at 3.
You want for the next meeting, you want 2, make it 2.
But I'm really happy to hear that for the most part, Andy, that it was civil and, people weren't threatening each other or shouting at each other. That's at least a small move in the right direction.
Right. I thought it went well. Everyone got to speak. Like I said, there was over 40 speakers. Everyone listened to everyone, and there, I wouldn't say that there was no clapping allowed, but we brought signs that would say "I agree" or clap. So it was, and there was tons of spirit fingers in the background, shall you say?
Okay.
as people came back.
Okay, I want to hear give me kind of a Cliff Notes version of what you heard, pro and con.
Sure. So, really the con was they got up there and started reading passages of the books. So when they were reading passages of the books, they were just reading those small clippets and not getting the whole context of the book, except one person did go a little bit too far and told us the context of what was happening in the book. So that was kind of funny. But they went up there, in the con, and then the pro was really about, about how it affects the students, really the community, and what it means to be represented by these books and these characters in the stories.
And it's from what I understand, Andy, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of this is about, most of it's about sex and sexual content. Is that accurate?
I would say that's inaccurate. Yep, absolutely. And a lot of the authors, are women authors, and so that's also something of our focus as well.
So you're saying that a lot of these authors are female authors who are writing about sex.
Correct.
Okay. See, some of the books that were on the list, I'm not familiar with. I'll just be perfectly honest with you. I would have to go and investigate and read them. But I agree with you in the fact that you can't cherry pick. You can't do that kind of stuff. Because you're
it's
going
real.
to pick.
It's real easy to craft an argument over cherry picked information.
Right. You're going to pick the most salacious part of the whole book, and that you're negating the whole book by just one little passage. That's when you step in as a parent or a teacher and you go, let's discuss this passage.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And even at the meeting, there was a pastor that was passing out Bible phrases. And he said, look, if you take these out of phrases, look how bad if you take these out of context,
wow,
look at how these look. Are you going to ban the Bible next? I mean, that was really, it was an interesting argument, and he had about 10 different examples of how the Bible did it. And so it all matters about how you read it in the context. And if there's the passage in the book, and that's when you have to sit down as a parent and parent your kid.
Yes, absolutely. Like Carol said, and you sit down and say, let's talk about this chapter, or let's talk about, these next couple of paragraphs. Andy Guss is our guest. He's with Grassroots Menomonee Falls and was at the meeting on Monday night when they were discussing the 33 books that have been banned or banned from certain age groups. Andy, the last time that we talked to you, you had mentioned that it seemed like there were issues with the process and how the process played out. Was that addressed at all?
Yes. The village board, the school board president, Nina Christensen, did come out, and also the superintendent with two different statements, kind of relating back to their policy statement with 365. But we find that there's still, the policy clearly states that it only covers, removal when there's no longer used or needed. So there's still some policy questions and some discrepancies even in between their statements.
Okay. How was that received? Was that okay with most of the people?
I don't think it went over as well as they thought, because I think between the two statements and looking at the policies and how they read, I don't think a lot of people agreed with what the district came out with.
Okay, so what's the end game now here? Where are we going from here?
So really what we're waiting for our next steps is we're waiting to really fill in the blanks from what we know with open record requests. Now, we have 12 open record requests currently open with the school district that have been unfulfilled. Now, some of these open record requests are dated over 60 days old. So we have been working with the district to get these. We've been trying to set up dates on when we can receive these open record requests, but they've been really non-responsive. And that only tells me one thing, that there's something there that we're asking for that that they're getting more information on, and we're just patiently waiting for these open record requests so that we can move forward in the next direction.
It certainly doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, because you would think if everything is good, here's everything you asked for, there should be no problem. And if they're going to continue to delaying, again, that has to make everybody kind of wonder what's going on there.
Right, absolutely. I mean, that's what we're wondering is if you're going to say that you guys did the right thing in your statements, then we're just looking for the open record requests that show that.
Right.
And we think that those should be turned over in a timely manner. And most of those were requested last week and some this week, and we're still waiting.
See, there's the rub right there. They're going to extend and extend and extend. And at some point in time, there's somebody sitting in a room that goes, oh, if we stall them long enough, they'll forget about it. And that's not going to be the case at all.
Absolutely not. We will not. We will not rest until we have those open record requests.
Yeah, there's way too much engagement now, which I'm really happy to see, Andy, and that must make you happy as well, and other parents within the district. I am delighted to see people engaged like this and taking time out of their busy lives to show up at a meeting like this.
Right. Good point.
Because when we don't do that is when things go awry, when no one is watching and no one is getting involved. If you're just joining us, Andy Guss is our guest from Grassroots Menomonee Falls, talking about the 33 books that have either been removed or moved to a different section in Menomonee Falls. And among some of these 33 books, their classics. Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five, Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye, Gregory Maguire's Wicked, and Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. Also, The Kite Runner that we've talked about before, which is a wonderful, wonderful book. So have they announced any other meetings on this, Andy? Or are they just, like Carol said, are they just kind of hoping, oh, these people are all going to get tired and it's going to be Christmas soon and they'll go away?
I'm guessing that that's the assumption, is that they will delay the open record requests, and they'll think that their statements are good enough. But we're going to keep pressing the issue, making sure that they're following the due process, because we still don't feel the statements that they provided were very not what we were looking for. And so we're going to be continuing with the open record requests and finding the due process to make sure that they did follow the policies. And if they didn't, we're going to find them accountable.
So at this particular juncture, are the books gone, or are they still in the library until some decision is made?
You know, that's a great question. There was a post, I saw a picture of the books on a cart because they were being sent off. And actually the person, the library, who's actually a substitute in our district, who was asked to gather all of these books, the librarian gathered the books, put them on a cart, and that same day quit the job.
Oh my.
Yeah, so we've already had one person leave the district because of this, a librarian. And so I don't know where those books are. I do know that a reporter last week told me that they went to the dumpsters to go check them out, but they did not see them there.
I feel so badly for our librarians and our teachers and our healthcare workers and just all these people that are critically important to our society and just now are getting unbelievable amounts of crap.
Hammered? They're just getting hammered.
Yeah. And it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that librarian had felt she had to quit because of this. And it also reinforces, Andy, and good for you for filing FOIAs, just how important that is, that Freedom of Information Act. That's critically important to sustaining our democracy.
Absolutely, because like you said, if nobody goes to this meeting, like if nobody was there, they can do whatever they could run in darkness. They don't have to say anything. It's not public. It's not recorded. It's not public comment. And they continue to talk about these new policies that really, at the end of the day, hurt our teachers, hurt our students, and hurt the community.
Andy, if we got only about 30 seconds left, where can people go to find out more?
They can visit our Facebook page, Grassroots Menominee Falls area.
Okay, great.
Andy Gus has been our guest. Thank you so much, Andy. Really appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you again.
Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break. This is As Goes Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Radio keeps your community informed, entertained, and connected. It's what we're all about at the Civic Media Network of local radio stations.
We're having fun and moving fast to preserve hometown radio across Wisconsin. This includes a commitment to news. Now we want to invite you to join Civic Media's exclusive Facebook group, Wisconsin Breaking News. It's a place to share your community's news and chat with others from across the state about it.
Join the Facebook group, Wisconsin Breaking News today. It's the perfect companion to your local Civic Media radio station. Saturdays and Sundays at 1. Don't miss Under the Helmet with the Gravedigger, featuring legendary Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram. Football, life, and fun.
Earl, you've been driving a Yugo. They just gave you a brand new Ferrari with turbo boost. So enjoy it, brother.
Under the Helmet with the Gravedigger. Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram. Saturdays and Sundays at 1 on the Civic Media Network and on the Civic Media app. You're listening to The Shaw, WAUK.
There's something strange in your neighborhood. Who you gonna call?
Friday morning. Thank you for joining us today on As Goes Wisconsin. Jane Matnier in for Kristen Bry. Greg is on the board. Carol Kane with me in the studio in downtown Waukesha. And we always love to hear from you, too, at 844-967-2789. We're going to have a little quiz.
Okay.
And you can play along at home. And it's not who says it first. I just want to see who your guesses are.
Okay. All
so
right.
I'm going to describe the costume, and you have to tell me the politically involved person that this is about.
Okay.
Are we ready, Greg and Carol?
I'm ready.
All right. Here's the costume. These are so easy. It's a bow tie, a little white wig, glasses, and an oversized gavel.
I can't remember his name, but it's the Speaker Pro Tem.
You're right. Patrick McHenry.
So I'm going to go ahead.
That's a guy. I knew. I remember seeing him, but this is the.
They're so interchangeable at this point.
Yeah.
So, but he will always be gavel boy to me.
Well, he's
because
the bow tie boy.
But do you remember when he smacked that gavel when they tossed Kevin McCarthy out?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to hurt himself.
Yeah.
The man either has a lot of anger issues or this was just a really good way for him to channel his energy.
Why not both?
Could be both.
Yeah.
Could be both. All right. Well done, Greg Bach. Here we go on number 2, 2023 politically inspired Halloween costumes. Jacket with a congressional logo, pockets stuffed full of cash, and a couple of gold bars.
Yeah, the Democrat, the guy that, what the hell's his name? See, this is where I'm going to fall down because I can't. Yeah.
I'll let her.
It's Menendez.
Yep.
Democratic Senator Bob Menendez, of course, facing numerous charges for allegedly working as a foreign agent on behalf of Egypt.
Egypt, right. See, I know all the little incidentals.
You're doing good.
Yeah, it's great. Carol, you're doing great.
Okay.
All
no,
right.
It's not a big thing.
Yeah, it's fun. It's
game.
You have
fun.
no idea how competitive, though, I am.
I can tell you're like basically gripping the size of that chair off.
Man alive.
Take a
I'm
breath.
So competitive.
Take a breath. Okay, this is one of my favorite ones. A gold dress that's too tight, a push-up bra that's too small, and a vape pen.
Oh, that is
Marjorie?
Nope, that is Western Colorado Representative Lauren Bingo Boebert.
There you go, Lauren Betelgeuse Boebert, of course.
Okay.
Now she's famous for a little gropey session with a guy she was on a first date with.
Hey, we're not here.
Beetlejuice the musical. Not that I'm being judgy or anything.
We're not here to shame people. They can have their fun whenever they want. That they're adults, but at Beetlejuice,
Who knew there were infrared cameras?
Yeah.
Nowadays. In the good old days, you could just do it in the dark at a children's theater program and no one would know.
Oh, now you made it weird.
All right. 2023 politically inspired Halloween costumes. A crown made of popcorn and a scepter that looks like a stick of Wisconsin butter.
I mean, that's the one and only. Carol, do you know who that is?
Yeah, the guy that got into the argument.
No, you're thinking of Derek Van Orden.
Yes.
That's the
Cheese King.
Cheese King.
He is the Cheese King.
We're talking about current Speaker Assembly.
Owns a popcorn business.
Assembly Speaker Robin Voss.
Oh, okay.
Ding ding for me.
Crown of popcorn. Scepter looks like a stick of butter. Okay.
Zero sense of humor.
He's a chucklemeister deep inside. I know it.
I am terrible with names, you guys.
That's all right. That's all right. 2 more to go.
All right.
2 more to go. A black robe with patches that have the names of your biggest donors on them.
Well, it's obviously Supreme Court.
It's all of the Supreme Court.
Oh, yeah. I see what you did there.
It's all of the Supreme Court justices. I am so annoyed by the Democratic Supremes who also sided with the Republicans and said, ethic oversight, schmethic oversight. We're fine. We police ourselves.
Harumph, harumph, harumph.
I'm telling you.
That annoys me beyond measure.
I completely agree with that.
It really does. And with every day, it just seems like we learn more and more about all the special perks these little justices get.
Mm-hmm.
$267,000 loans to buy an RV that just kind of disappear.
I'm telling you, it's once again, what do I always say? Washington corrupts, and I don't care what position you are in Washington. Washington, D.C. corrupts. everybody.
I still think we should require that the justices wear patches like a NASCAR driver with their biggest sponsors.
And you know what? I have a problem with this that, hey, you're in it for life, dude.
Oh, yeah.
In it for life with no oversight. And it's almost impossible to.
What could go wrong?
Out. Yeah.
What could go wrong? That's perfect. All right. Last one, the 2023 politically inspired Halloween costumes. You really don't have to guess. Dress as yourself and say you're really GOP Representative George Santos in disguise.
GOP Representative George Santos?
George Santos,
the guy who's lied about everything.
Right.
His entire resume, his
everything.
Family, his jobs.
Even though we got that correct. Because George Santos.
However, a little update on some George Santos news. There is a bunch of New York Republicans who filed to oust him. Right, Greg Buck?
Yes. Yeah. It seems like he could be getting, there could be expulsion hearings next week.
I got to be honest with you, though, you guys. I have to admire that he keeps swinging at it. I mean, it's just like he's walking around. It's like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. It's just one of those la 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 la. Leave me alone. Nothing to see over here. Oh, go look over there. And it's just the fact that he just keeps swinging at it makes me laugh.
Embrace the lie. Embrace the lies.
Yeah. You know what
he
you
embraces
need?
Them all.
You need a timeout. You need to go and sit in the corner and turn towards the wall and just shut up for a little bit.
House of Representatives, mother at large, Carol Kane, call her in. She'll straighten him out. I'm telling you.
If I didn't accept it from my children, why should I accept it from you guys?
And I pay your salary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You answer to us.
My daughter said to me once, I said, did you know who the authority figure was when you were growing up? She goes, oh, God, yeah. Oh, my God, Mom.
It was you.
Well, of course it was.
Right.
Because I paid her salary.
We are coming up to the top of the hour news. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some of the creepiest, most haunted places, not only in Wisconsin, but around the world.
Yeah.
You're listening to As Goes Wisconsin. We are on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Think you better call Ghostbusters! Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! I can't hear you. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Louder! Ghostbusters! Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters!
Awesome Farmers Market and The Shaw, 540 AM and 101.1 FM, WAUK. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Shaw, WAUK 540 AM Jackson, W266DR Waukesha, and always streaming on the Civic Media app.
For Civic Media News, I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Leaders of both parties in the Wisconsin Assembly say the push to impeach Elections Commission Administrator Megan Wolf is a distraction. Republican Scott Krug and Democrat Lee Snodgrass spoke to a WisPolitics luncheon yesterday. Krug says there's a way forward that doesn't involve who's running WEC. He says he wants a better working relationship with local clerks. More than $388 million worth of key construction projects around Wisconsin are getting the green light from the State Building Commission. They include new buildings and upgrades at state parks, prisons, and universities, and other state-owned buildings. There'll be security improvements at Techita Women's Prison. Work will also get started on a new Wisconsin History Museum on Madison's Capitol Square. I'm Terry Bell, and this is Civic Media News. Now, here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WAUK News, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. The ongoing eye drop murder trial in Waukesha County saw the medical examiner providing further testimony. The examiner said Lynn Hernan, the victim, had been dealing with long-standing health problems that required round-the-clock care. The defense argues that Hernan took her own life after enduring years of pain. Jesse Kierzewski, a friend of Hernan, is accused of murdering her and allegedly stealing around $300,000 from her. The trial is continuing today. Milwaukee's streetcar system is expanding to offer Saturday service, responding to increased ridership on weekends. To improve efficiency, an extra streetcar will be added, resulting in a shorter wait time of 15 minutes between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Saturdays. That's down from 20 minutes. To accommodate the change, service frequency on weeknights will be reduced after 8 p.m. And that's what you need to know. I'm Stuart J. Waddles, WAUK News.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
The Bucks win their season opener. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Milwaukee Bucks won a thriller at Fiserv Forum. The final 118-117 over the Philadelphia 76ers. The Bucks jumped out to an early lead, but Philly came back in the fourth quarter. Giannis had 23 points and 13 rebounds.
We were up, then they came back, then we were up, they came back. You know, I felt we could take care of the ball better, take the game away from them when we were up 18 or we were up 12 or something, I don't remember. But we're going to come back, we're going to be better.
Damian Lillard scored 39 points, setting a new team record for a debut.
It wasn't them telling me, you got to score, you got to do this. It was just, you know, they trust my judgment. They inbounded it to Giannis. I was just kind of reading him like, you know, what you want to do. And he was like, come get the ball.
Adrian Griffin gets the win in his first game as the head coach and gave the credit to Lillard.
You just got a sense during the game he wasn't going to let us lose. What can I say? You know, he was incredible.
That's Bucks head coach Adrian Griffin. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. Cloudy this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. High temperatures reach up to 66. West winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Lows around 33 tonight. Tomorrow, I have 45. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 63 degrees.
Timeout.
All right. Remember, we're a team that plays together. Listen, the winning will take care of itself. We just have to get everyone involved.
In interscholastic sports, we celebrate what makes every one of us unique. And in the pursuit of a common goal, everyone in the huddle, in the bleachers, and in the community comes together. This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us. Whether you're heading down Les Paul Parkway or fighting traffic on the interstates, this is The Shaw, 540 AM and 101.1 FM. From the Civic Media Radio Network, moving Wisconsin forward one joke at a time. This is As Goes Wisconsin with Kristen Bry.
Oh, it's going, no one knows. Hello, Wisconsin!
Now, filling in for the new mom, here's Jane Matinaire.
Good morning. Happy Friday, October 27th. Greg Mock is on the board. Carol Kane is here with me in the studio in downtown Waukesha. You can always check in, call, and or text at 844-967-2789, or you can watch us on a live stream on YouTube, Twitter, and the other one,
Facebook.
See, I have just so X'd Mark Zuckerberg out of my life. I don't even think about Facebook anymore.
No, because you couldn't get YouTube for a while. So now I feel like you can only memorize 2 of the 3. Don't blame a billionaire in California.
Oh, come on. Just let me blame Zuckerberg. Yes, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook that Zucker owns. You can watch on the live stream and always comment there as well. So we're going to do a little cleanup before we start talking about spooky places in Wisconsin and around the country, just because I can't always get to all of the texts as they're coming in.
Not.
So Andrew from Verona, you and I were talking about old costumes that we wore to Madison.
Yes.
For Halloween on State Street, and you were a large mouse.
I was a big mouse. I made a big paper mache head with big ears, and yeah, I don't ask me. And then one year,
we didn't.
So what I know, right? The one year too, I went as Pinocchio, and I literally fashioned like this clay nose. And I had like bib overhaul shorts on with the high socks. And,
nice.
Yeah. After I got done trick or drinking, I'm telling you, we were so irresponsible. We went over to the guy. We never even made it downtown. We went to the guy's dorm, and we went and after about a half an hour, I was done. That was it.
That was it. Well, Andrew from Verona says, Carol, the OG Freak Fester before they started tear gassing people.
Oh, yeah. Freak
Fest.
Oh,
God, yeah.
Freak Fest was crazy. And I dressed up as a devil. Oh, well. Actually, my favorite costume of all time was when I dressed up as Britney Spears in 20 Years. So
that's hilarious.
This was when Hit Me Baby One More Time, and she was dressed like a schoolgirl.
Right.
So I put my hair in pigtails. I blacked out some teeth. I drew on a whole bunch of lines, and then I got 2 balloons and filled them with Jell-O.
That's hilarious.
And put them in the fridge. So I had I had a shelf.
There you go.
I actually could carry. I could carry my drink in my cleavage.
That's hilarious.
Unfortunately, as the evening wore on, the Jell-O started melting. So I would turn, and then it would go slosh. And I would turn the other way to go slash.
Oh, God.
And they were so.
But you know what?
I loaded them up so much that they almost knocked me over.
But to tell you the truth, almost apropos, because that would be something that would, gravity takes its toll.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. All right, John from the Falls checking in. We had Andy Gus on at 10:30 to update us about what happened at the Menominee Falls School Board meeting about those 33 books. And John says, I just want to thank Andy for all the work he's doing to fight book banning agendas by our unqualified MAGA school board. And then we also did a little segment on politically inspired Halloween costumes.
Right.
And the 262 is in with a suggestion. Get a G.I. Joe costume with a bottle of whiskey and you're Derek Van Orden.
Well, you got to make sure, take that costume and also put a plane ticket in your hand.
Oh, there you go.
That'll work.
Yep.
That'll work. Otherwise, you could just carry around a milk carton with his face on it.
And you can also just scream at children.
Just start randomly yelling at teenagers.
Yeah. I went as Batman on the Weekend one year where it was I had a cowl that was made of it wasn't a nice costume.
Okay.
It was a cheap cowl, so it went over my face. But then I just wore a t-shirt that said Batman, the old 60s Adam West logo. I had fashioned out of duct tape like a holster for a bottle of gin, and I just walked around a party. I was also wearing cargo shorts and flip-flops.
Oh, hot.
So
That's
I just
hilarious.
So I just walked around walked around the party the whole time just complaining that Wonder Woman left me and those kids aren't even mine.
And And you needed like little signs that said "Bam," "Wow," "Oh,"
"Kapow."
Yeah, exactly.
My knee.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's funny. Hey, if you want to share costumes or any scary places in Wisconsin you think people should know about, give us a call or shoot us a text at 844-967-2789. Great column in Up North News. It's upnorthnewswi.com from Aaron Yarnell about the ghost walks and trails, all the places to go around Wisconsin if you are into spooky things. And there are a lot of people who are.
Oh, gosh. This is, for some people, this is their Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
for a lot of people. Yeah.
So the first place they list, and I think this is pretty well known, but it's the Pfister Hotel.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you've talked to a number of pro athletes over the years because they tend to stay there.
Major League Baseball players are,
they're really superstitious.
It's very superstitious. And there are some that will not, that during the course of their career would not stay at the Pfister. I even read a story about, this was a while ago, so don't make me bring up his name because I don't know. He was from the visiting team. He slept with a baseball bat because he was so worried about it. And people have reported hearing female voices in the hallway or hear people walking down the hallway and they look out the door and there's nobody there. And so, I mean, it's a notoriously haunted place. Yes.
What good is a baseball bat going to do?
I just made him feel better. I don't know.
It's a placebo.
He's going to take, let's say for a second, let's walk down this trail. A ghost shows up. That's adorable. A ghost shows up. He takes one swing and he's going to go, I should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
It's going to go right through him.
Right through him. Yeah, exactly.
Have you never seen Ghostbusters?
Come on. Basics.
Well, you got
ghost basics.
Yeah. Well, you've got Shakers is notoriously haunted too.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
They do tours.
They do tours.
And you can stay there.
You can stay there. But there are more than one person that I have spoken with that said you do not go in the basement of Shakers. You do not.
Now, this is a bar in Milwaukee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on 2nd Street.
And who is haunting it? Do we know?
Well, from what I understand, there's been a young girl that's been seen there that maybe before Shakers was built, she was killed on this site. And then I think there's a woman too.
That building has a history of ill repute.
Ah.
Yeah.
So some brothel action going on.
Correct.
Yes.
But I hear it's pretty scary down in the basement.
Well, if that's your thing, like Greg said, they do tours, and I know you can stay there. Another place on this list from upnorthnewswi.com, the Wisconsin Dells Haunted History Trolley Tour.
Oh, okay.
It may be the water park capital of the world, but if you believe in ghosts, you can take this haunted history trolley tour to learn about Wisconsin Dells' spine-chilling tales. The Broadhouse Grill church-turned restaurant is rumored to house the spirits of both a young girl and a Union soldier.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind something like that. I just don't want people jumping out at me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't do any of that stuff.
No haunted houses?
No haunted houses. I'm not paying someone $35 to make me almost pee myself.
That's hilarious. Well, I used to do like Little Bohemia up north where Dillinger and Capone used to vacation. That's supposed to be haunted too. But I will tell you this one haunted house story because Liz and I used to do them all the time. And we were at the Hills Have Eyes, which is really scary.
Yes, it is.
It can be very scary. But we were going we had to go through like a building. This is back in the day. We had to go through a building first, but we waited in line for like 2 hours. And she got hungry and she's like, can I have something to eat? And I'm like, sure. So we bought her a hot dog. Well, the first place we went was nothing but these strobe lights going off.
Uh-oh.
And she looked at me and she goes, Mom, I'm going to throw up.
Oh, God. And you just got in there.
We just got in there. And we had walked past this, when you say somebody jumping out at you, somebody on stilts, and they were really tall. And then I turn around and I'm trying to get her out and I'm going to, like I'm swimming upstream. And this creature would not let us pass. And I was just like, all right. So I went into mom mode. And I remember I looked at him, I go, If you don't want throw up all over you, get out of the way.
You shall not pass without paying $17.95.
Yeah, mine was I just sat there and waited for my girlfriend and her son to get through.
So he let you out after that?
Well, he didn't want throw up all over him.
Who does? That's a question.
Now we know how to deal with a ghost.
We got a text from Mama Bry herself.
Oh, what does Mama Bry say?
Mike and I, this is Mike, this is Krista, not me and Mike. He's a married man.
Gotcha.
Mike and I had our first kiss in the Shaker's basement.
That's right. I remember her telling me that. I didn't realize it was Shakers.
So you do go in the basement and you get a little
love. Get a little love.
Oh my gosh.
Wes from Middleton is checking in on the text line at 844-967-2789. Governor's Island in Madison, top tier spooky. An old TB sanatorium. Mendota Hospital, Ed Gein's last residence is right up on the hill, the old cemetery. Great view of the Capitol in downtown Madison. Great for an eerie fall hike.
Great cheese curds, too.
And you know what? Speaking of that, I just watched on Netflix. It's Ed Gein in his own words. I know. And it's him being interviewed by police. And it's like a 2-hour documentary in 2 parts. And I thought it was fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And all of the movies that he inspired. I mean, we could talk to... We're going to talk movies later on, but all the movies that his story inspired is just unbelievable.
Because it was so horrifying.
Well, grave robber,
just horrifying. Yeah. One more place on this list that I wanted to cover, because you had mentioned that other place that supposedly a lot of gangsters hung out on.
Little Bohemia.
So this is the Four Seasons Island Resort in Pembine, which is almost on the Wisconsin-Michigan border, a little south of Crivets. It's literally in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
But the picture of it is beautiful. It's this gorgeous resort, but it reminds me of the place in The Shining.
Oh, the Overlook?
The Overlook.
Sure.
A little bit, but it's been open for 120 years. A hangout for Al Capone. Still a hangout for spirits and ghost hunters. So if that's your thing, check out the Four Seasons Islands Resort. You can find this whole list at upnorthnewswi.com. We'll put that in our show notes after the end of the show. Stay with us. You're listening to As Goes Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The Shaw, WAUK.
The bakers of Country Hearth and Village Hearth Breads are proud to support local education with Loaves for Learning, the program that makes it easy to earn money for your school. Enjoy Country Hearth and Village Hearth all-natural breads, buns, bagels, and more. Then save the UPC from the package for your school to collect and redeem. Each is worth 5 cents and can be used for books, computers, sports, music, whatever your school needs. Up to $10,000 a year. Learn more at loavesforlearning.com. Country Hearth and Village Hearth Breads, baking our best for you.
Why are interscholastic sports called the last classroom of the day? Because they teach students important life lessons like teamwork, accountability, and perseverance. School sports are so much more than a game. They're about developing the whole person. That's why they're an essential part of every student's education.
Encourage your student to participate in the last classroom of the day. Interscholastic sports in Wisconsin. This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
This is the Shaw, WAUK.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. Jane Madnair in for Kristen Bry. Kristen joins us now on Wednesdays at 10:33 until 11 o'clock while she's on maternity leave. So make sure you join us. You can either listen, you can watch on the stream and see how little Frankie Lou is doing. Greg Bach on the board, Carol Kane in studio with me in downtown Waukesha. And we'd love to hear from you at 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY, talking about creepy places, if that's your thing. And a lot of people are into it with Halloween right around the corner, scary places right in your own backyard. And even if it's not necessarily a haunted place, but I found this in the Waukesha Freeman. There's a house in Waukesha, the Halloween House of Waukesha South, and they've been doing this for 22 years, and they go all out.
Really?
I am just always so impressed by people who take it to the next level like that. They start in mid-September.
Oh my gosh, that's
setting up a month and a half. They set up.
That's an amazing dedication.
It really is. It really is.
There used to be, is it an actual haunted house that you can go through?
No, it's their home. So
home.
That they decorate the outside. But over the course of 22 years, this has become pretty much a destination Halloween stop in Waukesha.
There was a house, I remember, on Maryland on the east side of Milwaukee. And there were a couple of artists that lived in it. And one year, because I kept hearing about this thing. And so one year I'm like, I got to go and check this thing out. And what they did was they made the entire front of their house into a werewolf head that came out.
Wow.
And then the mouth was open with the teeth. So you had to walk through the mouth to get into the house through the door. It was absolutely unbelievable.
That's amazing that people will go to that extent.
Yeah.
They do at this Waukesha Halloween Haunted House of Waukesha South. They do have donations. They do take donations for the Humane Animal Welfare Society of Waukesha, which is great. That is a wonderful organization. You and I have talked to them many, many times.
Right. Well,
and so if you can do that, make a little donation, that would be
that's
wonderful.
Where Beauregard came from.
Oh, you came from Haas?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So there was you mentioned this Winchester house.
There's the Winchester Mansion, which is in California. And I looked it up. I misspoke off the air. The Winchester Mystery House is a mansion in San Jose, California. It was once the personal residence of Sarah Winchester, the widow of firearms magnate William Wirt Winchester. It's become a tourist attraction. And here's the reason why. She just kept adding on to it. And it's like 24,000 square feet or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I can see how you'd get cramped.
It's a shack.
Sure.
But there are staircases that go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
There, she would add a room from it's just crazy stuff. And they have tours, and you can get a tour, and it's supposed to be very haunted, very, very haunted.
It just sounds interesting architecturally.
Yeah, Well, Gettysburg is also said to be very haunted. They've had people take pictures, and there are ghostly images that appear in the fields, but there are a lot of lost souls there.
Absolutely.
Liz did something fun. Have you ever heard of the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs,
California?
No.
Where is Eureka Springs?
Arkansas. I think it's Arkansas.
Okay.
Anyhow, so she was visiting her friend in Missouri, and she decided, because she's all into this creepy stuff too. She's very much like her mother.
All right.
And so she went down and booked a room and stayed in this hotel all by herself, took the tour. She didn't see anything. She was supremely disappointed, but it was very interesting for her to do. And also the other thing, I saw this on Nat Geo, and it's the Clown Motel.
Oh, that's
hard pass.
Just the title is terrifying.
Yeah.
The Clown Hotel.
The Clown Hotel. And what this hotel is, and I am not sure exactly where it is, but you could look it up. It's right there. The old Tonopah Cemetery. I don't know exactly.
Is it a cemetery?
No. It's next to a cemetery.
It's in Tonopah, Nevada.
Okay. So here's what the whole theory is. And people who have stayed at the hotel say they have seen the specter of this clown standing over their bed.
Oh, yikes.
But they show this cemetery next to this clown motel, and they have this image of this clown walking across the cemetery and going through the fence and then going into the hotel and haunting the people that are staying there. To which my son, I said, Alex hates clowns. And he said to me once, he goes, Mom, I have 3 goals. And I said, well, what are they? And he says, I want to get a good job. Great. I want to have a nice house. Great.
Sure.
I want to kick a clown in the Australia.
Excuse me?
Australia is the land down under. and I said, okay, I'm kind of in on 1 and 2.
I can go with those.
But we need to investigate number 3. But I sent the link to him and he goes, oh, I can't wait to not go.
Yeah. Clown Motel.
Yeah.
No, it's really creepy. If you look it up. Oh, boy.
I looked it up. No, thank you.
Not going.
No, thank you.
We will attach all of these links to the show notes after the end of the show. If you want, maybe you want to book a night at the Clown Hotel, you can certainly do that. And John from the Falls checking in on the text line. Honestly, nothing about Halloween scares me anymore. It's probably because I live in a country with a heavily armed dystopian cult willing to do whatever their supreme leader tells them to. No haunted house can be worse than this.
Wow, John, way to take a hard right turn on that. this fun topic.
Yeah, but he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. All right, when we come back, Matt Miller from OnMilwaukee.com is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about scary movies, the old and the new, which ones still hold up. And there are some classics that still scare the crap out of me. And that's the only way I will watch scary movies, if I know where all the spoilers are.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
Oh, man.
I've done that too.
Have you?
I've read like the Wikipedia synopsis, and I'm like, I know exactly where all the murder and blood and scary is happening.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing more I think it's because it makes me feel alive. Because all of a sudden it's like, oh.
That big adrenaline rush?
Yeah.
Do you know what, Carol? I'm sitting here right now. I'm feeling being alive. I don't need a movie to help.
If you want to text in with your favorite scary movies, what are you watching this time of year? Halloween is coming up next Tuesday already, and then it will be November. So let us know what you think stood up or what new horror movies you are looking forward to. We'll take your texts at 844-967-2789. That's 844-96-PARTY. We have the news coming up in just a moment. Make sure you download the app. You can take us with you wherever you go. It's super easy to download, and it's pretty snappy app too, as far as being able to call directly from the app. You can text directly from the app, and you can also check out all of these civic media stations all across the state. So stay with us. This is As Goes Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
To Waukesha at 101.1 FM. Broadcasting to Southeast Wisconsin at 540 AM. This is The Shaw, WAUK.
For Civic Media News, I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Leaders of both parties in the Wisconsin Assembly say the push to impeach Elections Commission Administrator Megan Wolf is a distraction. Republican Scott Krug and Democrat Lee Snodgrass spoke to a WisPolitics luncheon yesterday. Krug says there's a way forward that doesn't involve who's running WEC. He says he wants a better working relationship with local clerks. More than $388 million worth of key construction projects around Wisconsin are getting the green light from the State Building Commission. They include new buildings and upgrades at state parks, prisons, and universities, and other state-owned buildings. There'll be security improvements at Techita Women's Prison. Work will also get started on a new Wisconsin History Museum on Madison's Capitol Square. I'm Terry Bell, and this is Civic Media News. Now, here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WAUK News, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. Big Ben's police force suffered a tragic loss Wednesday with the sudden passing of Chief Donald Gallione. The chief had been serving in Big Bend since 2014, following a distinguished 24-year career with the Milwaukee Police Department. There's no details available at the time regarding his passing. Leaders in Big Bend recently made the decision to disband its police force. The finalization of that decision is still pending. Police in Oconomowoc are assuring the public that there is no need for panic as they proceed with active shooter training at Meadowview Elementary today. As part of that training, you may see officers with tactical gear alongside firefighters and paramedics. The training session follows an incident in Germantown where police shot and killed a man during an active shooter situation. Oconomowoc police are trying to ensure that people are not alarmed by the presence of law enforcement. And that's what you need to know. I'm Stuart J. Waddles, WAUK News.
If you love them enough to listen to them practice the same song on tuba,
please be done.
Over and over and over and over and over, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Sounds good, honey.
Check today at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Bucks win their season opener. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Milwaukee Bucks won a thriller at Fiserv Forum. The final 118-117 over the Philadelphia 76ers. The Bucks jumped out to an early lead. In the fourth quarter, Giannis had 23 points.
We were up, then they came back, then we were up, they came back. I thought we could take care of the ball better, take the game away from them when we were up 18 or we were up 12 or something, I don't remember. But we're going to come back, we're going to be better.
Damian Lillard scored 39 points, setting a new team record for a debut.
It wasn't them telling me, you got to score, you got to do this. It was just, they trust my judgment. They inbounded it to Giannis. I was just kind of reading him like, what you want to do. And he was like, come get the ball.
Adrian Griffin gets the win in his first game as the head coach and gave the credit to Lillard.
You just got a sense during the game he wasn't going to let us lose. What can I say? He was incredible.
That's Bucks head coach Adrian Griffin. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
People won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. Cloudy this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. High temperatures reach up to 66. West winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Lows around 33 tonight. Tomorrow, I have 45. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 64 degrees.
People won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Your home for the Devil's Advocates. Weekday afternoons from 4 until 6 on The Shaw, 540 AM and 101.1.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us on As Goes Wisconsin. Jane Matnair in for Kristen Rye, Greg Bach on the board, Carol Kane with me in studio.
Yep.
And joining us on the stream on Milwaukee.com's own Matt Miller. And we're going to talk scary things, Matt. We're going to talk scary movies.
It's spooky movie season. It's spooksy time.
Well, now, as a movie reviewer, you have to watch everything.
I try. I've skipped a lot of the bad faith-based movies that have come out in recent years.
Like which ones?
Burn.
Like the various God's Not Deads and the various they're not
Left
good.
Behind.
You know what? Left Behind, the last Left Behind movie starred Nicolas Cage. So that's...
It did?
Yeah, Nick needed some money. Nick was on hard times.
Well, he's got a lot of exes he has to pay off, so I suppose you got to work where you can find
He
it.
spent a lot of money poorly.
So let's start with old scary movies that still hold up, that stand the test of time. Which would be your picks?
Yeah, my favorite scary movie is The Shining. I believe it's actually going to be, if you're in the Milwaukee area, I believe it's back on the big screen at the Times Cinema this weekend. So if you haven't gotten to see it on the big screen, I love The Shining. I think it is deeply eerie. I think it's scary on a visceral level, but also scary on a like get under your skin, unsettling discomfort. I think that movie's tremendous. I also think a lot of the Hitchcock still hold up. I love Psycho. I think Psycho is a genuinely really scary movie, perfectly made. I think it is an ideal, I guess you could call it a slasher movie, but it's just so impeccably crafted and so fun to watch. I remember watching that movie as a kid.
Really?
And, like, taking a shower, but with the curtains like drawn. So it's like I had like a 180-degree view. Like everyone's like, nothing's going to sneak up on me here.
I'm not going to be taken by surprise. Exactly.
And your mom's like, why is there water everywhere?
Yeah, I had a talking to. There was a big conversation about what scary movies young Matt can watch that week. And it's weird to think of this as an older movie now, but it is over 20 years old now at this point. But The Ring is still a really creepy movie. I feel like people gave that movie a side eye because it was a big teen movie at the time and it got parodied a lot. And then obviously VHSs became very fastly outdated. But that movie's still really creepy and really impeccably crafted. I would love it if Gore Verbinski, the director, made more movies again. I think he just makes too weird of movies for Hollywood, so they've stopped giving him money. But it's a shame because a lot of his stuff, even his bad movies, are interesting and visually just fascinating to look at.
I agree with you about The Ring. That is a really scary film. And I guess
it's got dread just dripping out of it. It's like you feel that movie just eerieing into your room when you watch it on TV. And like they have maybe the best jump scare of all time, in my opinion, which is like the random cut in the beginning of the movie to the dead girl in the closet that wrecked closets for me as a child. Showers, closets, most confined spaces were utterly ruined for me as a child.
How do you feel about clowns?
You know what? I'm fine with clowns, honestly. I think clowns get a bad rep. I do think smiles are creepy, though. Like that horror movie that came out 2 years ago, Smile. That movie was that hit me in a place in the back of my head. There's a bad movie called The Black Dahlia from a few years ago by Brian.
I remember hearing about that.
It's a bad movie, and it's barely about the Black Dahlia murders, but there's like stuff involving the man who smiled in that movie. And for some, just that alone wigged me out. I was like, the movie's bad. Creepy smile guy, don't like him. Get him out of my movie.
You're right, though, about Smile. It is very, very creepy. And I have a friend of mine who I said, you should watch this. And he called me at home and he goes, I got 15 minutes in and that's enough. Not doing it.
It's funny because it's very much like The Ring, but what if the tape was a smiling person?
Right.
It's kind of a fun play.
You know what other one that it was at the very end of the movie, it was like, no way. One of those is The Vanishing from 1988.
Ooh,
they redid it, I think, with Jeff Bridges and things like that. But it's, it's a really, really interesting movie. And it's just a shock at the end. So you should check that out.
Yeah, that's a good deep cut. I should let people know, I should shamelessly plug for a second. I do have a list of 100 good scary movies you can stream on Milwaukee.com, whether you have Netflix or Hulu or Peacock or whatever cockamamie, streaming services are out there now. But there's a bunch of really good horror movies out there for people to check out. If you haven't seen, this is going to be weird. So have you watched The Haunting of Hill House?
Yes.
So that's a director named Mike Flanagan, who's tremendous. He's a great filmmaker, great horror filmmaker. He's so good. He made a really good horror sequel to the Ouija movie. They made a horror movie out of the Ouija board. And the first one that came out is awful. It's very bad. Do not watch Ouija, the original. But Ouija Origin of Evil was directed by Mike Flanagan, and it's really good. If you like Haunting of Hill House, Midnight Mass, the Fall of the House of Usher is this new one on Netflix. If you like that kind of horror with like an emotional kick to it, I think you'd really dig Ouija Origin of Evil. It's startled. I remember seeing that in theaters and being like, what is business does this Ouija sequel have being good? It was bizarre.
Matt Miller from onmilwaukee.com is our guest. We're getting into scary season. Halloween's right around the corner. Talking about old scary films that stand the test of time and new scary ones that are great as well. Wes from Middleton, Matt, says The Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix is excellent.
It's excellent.
Eerie with some good jump scares, not too gory, which that clears the way for me to watch it then. Best part of the whole thing was you really root against all of the characters. So while it's scary, you feel a little bit of justice the entire time.
Yeah, he's a really great filmmaker. He also tried to do the Shining sequel from a few years ago, the Dr. Sleep, which I don't love that movie. I think it kind of tries to be a Shining sequel in its own thing at the same time. It's like a sequel to the book and the movie at the same time. So there's like soul-sucking vampires in it, and you're like, what is this doing in a Shining sequel? But even that is better than it should be because Mike Flanagan is a really good filmmaker. He really invests a lot of emotion into his TV shows and movies. He really finds the core that really kind of, again, gets under your skin. That's a good horror movie. Anything can startle you. There's a bug next to my computer screen right now, and it startled me when I saw it. That doesn't mean that bug is, Stanley Kubrick, So
wouldn't it be cool if it was, though?
What if he got reincarnated as this bug? What a twist.
Box Elder, the movie.
There you go.
I just want to share with everyone here. You'll all be proud of me for the first 3 or 4 years. I think it was 4 years ago. I sat down and watched the original Halloween.
Oh, what'd you think?
Oh, it's awesome.
It was interesting because it's, of course, of the times. It's like, it's not super gory. It's got the jump scares, but not too many. But what I found very interesting about that movie is, where a lot of movies, it's about the POV of the person looking and then being, the jump scare.
Yeah.
Where this movie, they bury the lead and they'll turn the camera and there he is. And you can see him.
Yeah.
It's still scary, but it's not like you're not terrified. You're like, oh my gosh. And also, I feel like had any of those kids picked up the pace, they'd been fine. Michael Myers, not a runner. He's not a runner. He's just not.
He was not an athlete.
It's working on nightmare logic, In your nightmares, you're always so slow. You are you're always so unable to get any distance from whatever's chasing you. So that's the kind of fun nightmare logic of Halloween and horror movies like that. I do find it interesting revisiting the classic horror movies because so many of them, the tropes have been so overused. I watched the original Exorcist this past week.
Yep.
And watching it, it just doesn't hit me the same way because all of the stuff that's scary in that movie when it originally came out 50 some years ago has now been in every possession movie and every Exorcist movie ever since. So like her talking like a grumbly 78-year-old man, isn't scary anymore because it's like, oh, well, that's the same vocal effect they've been doing in The Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe.
Well, and good heavens, now we're using projectile vomiting in comedies. Like Pitch Perfect, so that takes a little of the edge away from that particular effect.
Yeah, and you forget how long it takes to get to the exorcism in the original Exorcism. It doesn't start happening until there's 20 minutes left in the movie. You're like, This movie it's like more of a domestic drama, and then all of a sudden it's like, she sure is saying some things she shouldn't be.
Matt, I have a question for you. Are you excited for the sequel to Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey?
No, I am not because I
actually
saw Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and it's the worst movie you'll see this year. It's awful. And I'm not saying this is like a prude who can't handle, gore and stuff like that. I saw Terrifier 2. Like, I've seen messed up stuff, but it's so lazy. Like, it's so clearly a movie that was whipped together because Winnie the Pooh became public access, public use. And the director was like, what would be crazy? A horror movie with Winnie the Pooh. I have $20. Let's make a horror movie. It's sleazy, it's gross. It's choppily made. It's shoddily made. Don't waste your time on it. It is not worth the lulls. There are funnier, campier movies to watch than Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
You know what? You have to. We have to talk about like Jaws, Silence of the Lambs. You know,
Yes.
I mean, those were all very scary movies because they played with you psychologically. Like you never knew where the shark was going to show up.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, did they ruin the franchise? Yes. But the initial Jaws and Jaws 2 are very good. And Silence of the Lambs, that one, I think he won Best Director, she won Best Actress, and Anthony Hopkins won. And that's the first horror movie to get those big three, right?
Yeah, I think it won all of the major awards that year, if I remember right. It won Picture, Director, Actor, Actress. Yeah, so like it won the big four that year. And again, a horror movie. And if I remember right, a horror movie that came out really early in that year, which, I mean, obviously with the changes in the Academy and things of that nature, older, like more recent or older movies from a year have a better chance at, doing well. But back in 1990, 91, when that came out, that was kind of rare for a movie to like hang on for that long and live out all the buzz and all the backlash and the backlash to the backlash and to win Best Picture as a horror movie.
Yeah.
That movie's incredible. That movie's really, really well made. And it speaks to, Greg brought this up a little bit with Halloween too. Jump scares are fine. They're fun. They're exhilarating. But I do love in a horror movie when something creepy is going on and it's like the camera doesn't even realize it's happening. So like if you've seen The Strangers, which is another really good modern horror movie, that one's on Netflix right now. There's a lot of shots, and it's just a home invasion movie. Man and his husband and wife in their house get visited by 3 masked killers. And there's a bunch of shots in it where it's just her standing in a room. Liv Tyler is the lead. And all of a sudden you just see the serial killer just like standing in the back of the room, just like not doing anything, just like checking things out and surveillancing.
These are lovely sconces.
The calm and the unease of like, this is just like eerie creepiness. That's the stuff that hits me right in the scare centers.
If you want to share your favorite scary movies, 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. We will take your calls and your texts when we come back from the break. I'll get one in here real quick from the 262, Dave and the Shaw. I love old Universal monster movies. The Wolfman, Dracula. My favorites is the one that brings all those characters together. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. I watch it every October. I love that movie.
Those movies have such. I was just talking with a friend today about this, where it's like even crummy old movies back in the day, they felt like movies because they really like cared about lighting and they were doing their best to make something that looked cool with the limited resources they had. Obviously, those Universal monster movies, they had a little bit more budget than like Dunk. But they're still like gothic and creepy. I really love the atmosphere of those, the gothic vibe.
We're going to continue this conversation on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is As Goes Wisconsin. You're listening across the Civic Media Radio Network.
UK. Imagine wearing a shirt that's either too big or too small. That just doesn't feel right. And when it comes to your Medicare coverage plan, Smart Medicare Solutions understands that one size does not fit all. Your plan should be meticulously tailored to meet your specific needs. With a wide range of insurance providers to choose from, Smart Medicare Solutions can help find your perfect Medicare fit. Get clear, objective advice by logging on smartmedicaresolutions.com. Smart Medicare Solutions, guiding you through Medicare with generations of expertise.
It's rivalry week as Carroll University football travels to Kenosha to play the Firebirds of Carthage for the Old Musket Trophy this Saturday, October 28th. The Pioneers earned the Musket the last 2 years, with a win could bring it home to Waukesha for the 3rd year in a row. Catch all of the action live with Don and Johnny Pregame at 12:30, kickoff at 1. Carroll at Carthage for one of the oldest rivalries this Saturday on the Shaw, WAUK 540 AM, 101.1 FM, and the Civic Media app.
The Shaw, WAUK.
Give me half a chance, cause I'm not dead yet. Not dead yet. Not dead yet. I'm a mad dog fighting with the wall against my back. You better get a bigger gun, I'm not dead yet. I've been machine gun.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. Jane Matnair in for Kristen Bry, Greg Bach on the board, Carol Kane in studio, and Matt Miller from OnMilwaukee.com joining us on the stream. You can check in as well at 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. Talking scary movies, old and new. Which ones have stood the test of time? What are your favorites? We have Mark from the SAC on the phone. Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, and I enjoy the old horror movies. One I can remember seeing on television as a child was Tales of Terror, were 3 Poe stories. One was Morella, the Black Cat, and the facts of the case of M. Valdemar. When the case of M. Valdemar ends up with, all that was left of M. Valdemar was a pool of bubbly and purulence. But both of them, all 3 of them are kind of, there's humor in them, and there's also, that the whole horror aspect of them that is kind of, was really scary at the time.
Sure.
But, I mean, some of the new ones now just what more imaginative ways can we have to cut people up? And considering some of the stuff that's going on in real life these days, I mean, that's horrifying enough. That
right.
Thank you so much, Mark. I can't do gore. I can't handle it. I can't take it. I find it very upsetting, which is why these movies, I mean, and Silence of the Lambs, granted, has got some pretty icky stuff in there, but it's not like we're watching people cut off their own hands so they can get away, like the Saw movies and all that stuff.
I don't know what Saw franchise you're talking about.
I can't do it.
For as little as horror movies I can do, because I get grossed out and the scare thing kind of gets to me. One thing I did watch as a kid, and I watched it all the time, was Tales from the Crypt.
Oh yeah,
it was gory, but it was hilarious. It was so funny.
Well, I will say that the one horror movie that it's very troublesome, but at the end there's vindication is Hostel.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I watched Hostel, and there were a couple of pieces during that movie. I was like, oh no.
I can't.
And then, but at the end, I was like, yeah, get him.
844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. Our news director, Terry Bell, is a horror fan. Good morning, Terry. What's your favorite horror movie?
Hi, Jane. Yeah, I'm a horror fan come lately, so to speak. I never used to like horror movies at all for all the reasons that have been stated, and mostly because, well, they're dumb. But lately, it's been a real renaissance lately. They've been making really smart horror movies, well-told stories for grown-ups that just happen to be scary. The studio A24 has been really good at this. Midsommar, X, Pearl, Barbarian. It's been a really good stretch of time lately for scary movies that don't insult your intelligence.
Yeah, and I do think financially and critically, we are in kind of a horror movie golden age right now, even more so than comic book movies right now. Horror movies are the best bet at the box office. And that's always been the case on some level, because horror movies are cheap to make.
Sure.
And so they don't have to make that much money to get their money back. But right now, I mean, we are looking at this Five Nights at Freddy's movie that's coming out this weekend, potentially having a bigger opening weekend than the new Marvels movie coming out in 2 weeks. And if you look at the box office across the board, the movies that are actually making money are the horror movies. They're doing really well. And again, part of that is because they're cheap to make. So in that case, a $40 million opening weekend is great for a horror movie. Whereas if you're Indiana Jones 5 and you cost $300 million to make, well, it's a disaster. And I'm interested to see if there is a move towards the economics of these horror movies of being like, why are we spending so much money on these old franchises, on these CGI-laden IP brands that we need to make $1 billion to make our money back, Why aren't we going back to making $40 to $50 million movies that, can be modest hits and make their money back? And if they don't do great, well, okay, well, that's fine. It's not that much of a money loss, as opposed to, like I said, like an Indiana Jones 5, which is made like $400 million worldwide, but means it's a massive loser because it needed to make like $800 million to even just get out of the red.
Thank you so much for calling, Terry. We only got a couple of minutes left. 844-967-2789. I just want to mention two of what I think are the best scary movies in the last couple of years. It's The Quiet Place and The Quiet Place 2.
Oh, that's
directed by Jim Halpert. There's this interesting thing where comedy people are the best horror creators right now. Obviously, Jordan Peele with Get Out and Us and Nope. I think he's 3 for 3 personally. And Barbarian was just mentioned by that caller. That's directed by a guy who used to be in The Whitest Kids You Know, the comedy troupe.
That's right.
Yeah, Zach Breton, I think his name is.
Yes.
And you have Jim Halpert. You've got him directing the first 2 Quiet Place movies. And you think about it, and it's like, well, it makes sense because horror and comedy are not that far off in terms of, build up and playing with the audience and twists and turns and then hitting a punchline in the same way that, a scary scene has to hit the punchline. There's a reason why comedy and horror have similarities in that way. And you're playing with expectations, which the best horror movies do, instead of, just playing out the cliches as always.
One last caller, Brian from McGuanago. Good morning, Brian.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
I got to agree with you about gore. I'm not a big fan of that, but one movie that got me in my early 20s, and I think maybe because I saw it in the theater with some really good surround sound, was Event Horizon with Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill.
Oh, yeah, that's like a sci-fi horror.
Really good. Yeah, scary sci-fi. That was one of my all-time favorites.
What's the name of it, Brian?
When I saw it in the theater. Event Horizon.
Event Horizon. I'll have to write that down. Thank you so much for calling. Really appreciate it.
It is interesting that there's not that many sci-fi horror movies, and maybe that's in part because, Alien kind of crushed it right out the ballpark.
Oh, yeah.
Like, space just seems like such an obvious place to set a horror movie because there's truly deeply no escape. But it's like Alien came out and it was like, oh, they killed it. They did great.
Anything else we should go see that's coming up?
I want to recommend a little hidden gem that's on Netflix called His House, about an immigrant couple moving into a new apartment in England. It came out in the pandemic 2020 year, and it kind of got overlooked. Really good. If you're more into the psychological horror, that's one to check out.
Matt Miller from OnMilwaukee.com, Carol Kane, Greg Bach, thank you, all of you, for listening and for calling and for texting. Have a happy Halloween weekend. Yep. We will be back with you on Monday starting at 10 a.m. Thank you so much for joining us on As Goes Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.